This is a fun follow-up to a video we did yesterday about how a visibly defeated Elon Musk announced that he would no longer be bankrolling Donald Trump and the Republican Party the way he has in previous election cycles. We'll see if he follows through. But on top of that, we have brutal new polling about how wildly unpopular Musk is, and a bombshell story from The Atlantic that goes into deeper detail about a nearly physical confrontation Musk had with the Treasury Secretary near Trump's office. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, the Atlantic article that we're going to be diving into is called The Decline and Fall of Elon Musk by Michael Schreier and Ashley Parker. But before we get to that, I want to remind you of what Elon Musk said yesterday at the Qatar Economic Forum virtually about his involvement in politics going forward.
Are you going to continue to spend at that kind of level on future elections?
I think in terms of political spending, I'm going to do a lot less in the future.
And why is that?
I think I've done enough.
I love how people are making fun of, like, laughing. Like, yeah, I bet you have.
Is it because of blowback?
Obviously, but he won't admit it.
Well, if I see a reason to do political spending in the future, I will do it. I do not currently see a reason.
So, again, there's no telling with Musk. He's an inveterate liar. He's a conspiracy theorist. It's entirely possible that he's just BSing, right? And he'll change his mind. All that's possible. But you can see he's visibly defeated. And a lot of this has to do with the backlash. And again, we'll take a look at that Atlantic article describing a very heated confrontation in more detail between Musk and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. But I also want you to be aware of the polling surrounding Elon Musk, which is almost certainly the reason that he is walking out the door and being nudged out the door by Trump's political strategists.
How low can you go? Oh my. Okay, take a look here. Elon Musk net favorability rating. Look at this shift. Back in 2017, before he really started this politics thing, he was at plus 24 points. Look at where he is now. Whoa, he fell through the floor. Minus 19 points. Among Democrats, the fall was even more dramatic. We're talking about going from plus 35 points on net favorability rating. That is quite a popular guy among Democrats. To get this, now down to minus 91 points. You can't really go lower than that. I guess you could go down to minus 100 points, but he became political kryptonite. He was greatly disliked by the American public and greatly disliked by Democrats. And obviously we saw that in Wisconsin when, of course, he spent all that money and then the liberal won that Supreme Court race.
Yes. How has that plummet of popularity impacted the brand?
Yeah, exactly right. So this is Elon Musk individually. How about Tesla? Okay, let's take a look. The net favorability rating. Look, General Motors, we're going to compare General Motors and Tesla. General Motors, quite well liked by the American people, plus 23 points on net favorability rating. But look at Tesla, minus 20 points. So this idea that Tesla could somehow separate itself out from Elon Musk, the American people saw it the exact same way. And of course, Tesla is a business. They're in the business of selling cars. Awfully difficult to sell cars when you have a minus 20-point net favorability rating driven by Elon Musk's net favorability rating right around the same mark. And it's not a big surprise that Tesla sales had fallen in the past, at least in the first quarter, compared to where they were a year ago. It turns out that Elon Musk's political kryptonite was also becoming kryptonite for selling cars.
So, well, and one person maybe that matters to Elon Musk, maybe, well, other than his investors, would be Donald Trump. How has Trump's view of him shifted?
Yeah, so, you know, we're talking about Tesla here, but of course he's leaving the political game. Okay, Trump loved talking about Elon Musk at the beginning of his administration. Trump posts about Musk on Truth Social. Look at this, from January 20th to April 4th. He posted about 40 times. Look, from April 5th onward, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Donald Trump knows brands very well. He knows political brands, and he knows Elon Musk's political brands' time had run out, and therefore Elon Musk taking a step back from politics.
It also might
My
be
question
a favor to Elon Musk.
Yeah, I would think so.
Post less about me while I'm trying to save my company.
Yeah, that's
more about
pretty damn brutal. It really, really is. And a good breakdown by CNN's Harry Enton. I also have another clip pulled up of a recent interview that Elon Musk had. I think it was the same day of the Qatar Economic Forum that kind of dovetails with what you just saw. Again, we'll get to the the Atlantic article, which sheds more light on the confrontation between Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Elon Musk. But Musk was basically asked about this. It was a pretty good question. Like, basically, didn't you do this to yourself? Like, didn't you hoist yourself on your own petard? I want you to hear Musk's total lack of accountability and his petulance, the petulant deflection and blaming of others.
My question is more about your work at Doge, for example. Was that worth it? To the extent you are now, Elon, you were a somewhat divisive figure 2 years ago, but now you really are. I mean, there are people who love you, but there are a lot of people who dislike you, some of whom were your customers. And I wonder, was it worth the undertaking at Doge and everything else that you've done and how outspoken you've been in terms of the things you believe in to antagonize so many potential buyers and or users of things like a robo-taxi?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, what I've learned is that legacy media propaganda is very effective at making people believe things that aren't true.
What would an example of that be?
That I'm a Nazi, for example.
Right.
And how many legacy media publications, talk shows, whatever, try to claim that I was a Nazi because of some random hand gesture at a rally.
So sure, just because, I do something that looks awfully like a Roman salute, in addition to backing a far-right neo-Nazi German party, in addition to engaging, in great replacement conspiracy theories, white replacement conspiracy theories, all this bullshit, just because there's so many data points which indicate that I'm at least Nazi sympathetic, why would people call me a Nazi? Like that's his logic. Well, again, that's on you, right? You have led people to believe that about you. If it's not true, maybe you should engage in some introspection instead of doubling down on your worst characteristics. And again, I thought the question was really respectful. The reporter could have brought the receipts. Like, listen, you tweet these are the things you say. I'm going to give you a sample, Elon, of the things that you have said yourself on Twitter. This, and this. Haven't you created this situation? Aren't you your own worst enemy? Didn't you have a role to play with your conspiracy theories, your lies, your partisan political attacks? You have free speech and you use that free speech, but these are the social and reputational consequences you've accrued. It's your fault, isn't it? Right? That's what I wish somebody would ask Elon Musk, but I don't think anybody will. So let's look into the decline and fall of Elon Musk, okay, in which they go into more detail. We're not going to read the whole thing. You should definitely check it out, though. It's really good. Let's begin. Quote, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was shouting at Elon Musk in the halls of the West Wing last month, loud enough for Donald Trump to hear and in a language that he could certainly understand. Bessent and Musk were fighting over which of them would choose or should choose the next IRS leader, and implicitly over Musk's bureaucracy be damned crusade. Without securing the Treasury chief's sign-off, Musk had pushed through his own pick for the job. Bessent was, quite obviously, not having it. The fight had started outside the Oval Office. It continued past the Roosevelt Room and toward the Chief of Staff's office, and then barreled around the corner to the National Security Advisor's Warren. Musk accused Bessent of having run 2 failed hedge funds. Quote, I can't hear you, he told Bessent as they argued, their faces just inches apart. Say it louder. Musk came to Washington all Cybertrucks and chainsaws, ready to destroy the bureaucracy, fire do-nothing federal workers, and, he bragged, save taxpayers $2 trillion in the process. He was tech support t-shirt wearing disruptor who promised to rewire how the government operates and to defeat the, quote, woke mind virus under all the auspices of the newly created Department of Government Efficiency. For weeks, he and his merry band of Doge bros gleefully jumped from agency to agency, terrorizing bureaucrats, demanding access to sensitive data, and leaving snack wrappers on employees' desks. But as Musk winds down his official time in Washington, he's found himself isolated within the upper reaches of the Trump administration, having failed to build necessary alliances and irritating many of the department and agency heads he was ostensibly there to help. His team failed to find anything close to the 13-figure savings he'd promised. Court challenges clipped other projects. Cabinet secretaries blocked Doge cuts they said reduced crucial services. And all the while, Musk's net worth fell, his companies tanked in value, and he became an object of frequent gossip and ridicule. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. So, 4 months after Musk's swashbuckling arrival, he's effectively moving on, shifting his attention back to his jobs as the leader of Tesla, SpaceX, and X, among his other companies. In a call last month with Wall Street and analysts, Musk said he was planning to spend, quote, a day or two per week focusing on Doge issues, similar to how he manages each of his various companies. The next week, he seemed to suggest he'd be slimming down his government portfolio even more, telling reporters he expected to be in Washington, quote, every other week. Yesterday, he told the Qatar Economic Forum in a video interview that he no longer sees a reason to spend money on politics, though that could change in the future. Quote, I think I've done enough. And we've, of course, played that clip. He remains close with Trump, who still shows genuine affection for his billionaire benefactor, according to advisors and allies. But Musk's decision to focus elsewhere has been greeted as a relief by many federal leaders who have been busily undoing many of his cuts in their departments or making Doge-style changes on their own terms. Cabinet leaders who did not appreciate being treated like staff by the man boasting about feeding their fiefdom into a wood chipper have widely ignored some of his efforts, such as his February demand that all federal employees send weekly emails to their supervisors laying out their accomplishments in bullet points. Quote, how many people were fired because they didn't send in their 3 things a week or whatever the fuck it was, said one Trump advisor who requested anonymity to speak freely. Quote, I think that everybody is ready to move on from this part of the administration. The Musk-Besant shouting match was immediate fodder, for gossip, of course, but also for a kind of Rorschach test for MAGA world loyalties. Several members of the administration heard it themselves. Many, many more learned about it secondhand or even thirdhand. Some of the details were first reported by the New York Times and Axios, and we talked about it here at Pondering Politics. A mild-mannered billionaire stood up to a man-child, Musk rugby-shouldered Besant. There was nothing definitely physical. There was caterwauling. Musk should have been arrested. Musk did nothing wrong. It wasn't even a big deal. After the shouting match ended, Musk's pick for IRS commissioner found himself replaced with Besant's more seasoned choice after just 3 days on the job. Besant had won. The power struggle has become a symbol of Musk's inability to build support for his approach. The story is based on interviews with 14 White House advisors, outside allies, and confidants, who all requested anonymity to describe their private conversations. The White House and the Treasury Department declined to comment on the specifics of the fight, and a representative for Musk did not respond to requests for comment. A couple of weeks after his argument with Besant, Musk gathered reporters in the Roosevelt Room to defend himself, admitting that his latest goal of $1 trillion in taxpayer spending, already down from his initial $2 trillion target, had proved, quote, really, really difficult. Quote, we are making as much progress as we can. There's a lot of inertia in the government, he told the assembled press. Quote, so it's like not easy. This is a way to make a lot of enemies and not make many friends. So, and it goes on like that. Long and short of it is, Elon Musk's tenure with the Trump administration has been an objective disaster. Musk is unpopular. His companies are unpopular. He's alienated people who have been largely patrons of his companies like Tesla. And he did it all himself. It's all his fault. You know, there are ways, I suppose, you could probably take a risk when you're in business, you know, or really when you're in an apolitical environment, like let's say tech, right? Which is, you know, I suppose anything is technically political, but you know, there's considered a degree of separation. Or if you're in the entertainment world, right? And you make your political biases or preferences known, you are taking a risk. Taylor Swift took a risk when she endorsed President Biden in 2020 and Vice President Kamala Harris in 2024. Elon Musk took a risk when he, you know, got so close to Donald Trump, when he endorsed him, when he bankrolled him, when he basically became the de facto shadow president. He made a choice. But whereas Taylor Swift didn't go out of her way to like viciously insult conservatives or Trump supporters. She's just like, hey, listen, I prefer this candidate. Here's why. And that was that. Elon Musk was totally undiplomatic, cruel, insensitive, and he is now reaping the consequences, or at least some of them, of his own actions. And he's catching shit from key members of the Trump administration. His polls are devastated. His brands are suffering. And that's why he looks so visibly defeated. And I think it's hilarious. I think it's good. The world's richest man, who's incredibly powerful, incredibly influential, should be deterred from using that power and wealth in excessively cruel ways. He has every right to do it, I suppose, as long as he's not violating the law. But it's good that he's facing the backlash that he's facing. And anything that separates the Trump-Musk alliance, I think will be better for big D Democrats, just democracy in general, and really the American people, because together they were very, very formidable. And if Musk puts distance between himself and politics, as dangerous as Trump and the Trump administration and the MAGA movement are, they will be less dangerous and meaningfully so. So fingers crossed, hopefully this continues. In the meantime, Let me know what you think in the comments.